Hey, welcome to another sneaker video. This is going to be a restoration video. I recently found these on eBay. It's a 2002 pair of Nike Air Force Max Bs or Barkleys. They looked really good online, and I got these with a pair of white and gray ones too. They looked really great online, but when I got them, they had a lot of issues. It looks like someone has tried to restore this and did a really bad job. So I'm gonna have to take the paint off and redo it, do a lot of cleaning. You can see there's some scuff marks and some creases. Got some scratches there that go into the upper. Another scratch there, and here you've got what looks to be a bit of a divot. So all this stuff has to be fixed. I don't think they're in terrible shape for being as old as they are. They're still wearable, which is why I want to fix them. But I haven't done a lot of restorations, so we'll see. And I only got these for, what did these cost me? I think shipped, I got both of them for 15 bucks. So that is kind of a steal. Only $7.50 per shoe. As you can see, you've got hair here, and you've got all these pieces of sock and some lint, and I hate all that stuff. It's gonna take a while to pluck all those out, but I am up for it, and I'm up for the paint job and all of that. And here are the insoles. Again, not too bad, but not clean at all. I'm probably going to steam the shoes as well. That's going to be one of the first things I do. I bought a handheld steamer from Target, so I'm going to put that to good use. Going to wash the laces. That's probably going to be another thing I do first or second, and going to try to pluck all the sock pieces and hairs out. So I've spent almost an hour just using my tweezer here to tweeze out a lot of the hairs and a lot of the little sock balls in the insides of the shoes, and I really try to hit the edges there. You can see where the white stitching is. A lot of dirt likes to hang out there, as well as in these areas here. You get some stray hairs and some dirt and stuff, sometimes some grass, and a lot of the sock balls like to hang out in the back here. And I was able to get a lot of those by using a razor and just gently going over the lining here, and that takes up a lot of the sock balls. Another thing you can do, and that I recommend, is taking some tape, or if you have a lint roller or anything like that that's sticky, just putting it inside the shoes and just really going along the inside here, reaching up to the toe, go along the inside of the tongue and the insides here of the side panels, and you will get a lot of additional hairs and really gross things that are in there. And after a few times of doing that with the tape or the lint roll or whatever, you'll start getting less and less dirt, less and less hair, and once you're satisfied, then I think you can move on to the next step. And that for us is going to be using this steamer here. Got it all set up. Turn it on. And we are just going to steam the insoles, and we're going to steam the tongue. We're going to steam the inner lining here. We're just going to send a lot of steam up into the toe and really try to get these shoes clean. Really try to disinfect them. I'm probably going to try to do about 30 seconds to a minute on each shoe. Alright. And just remember that the steam is going to rise, so you don't want to put your hand where the steam is going. So we're done steaming the shoes and they look a lot cleaner, and I wouldn't mind putting my foot inside of them now. I'm going to go over this part of the lining, the upper part, with some soap and water, and the tongue too, just to get a deeper clean. But before I do that, I want to come back here and go into these parts of the shoe here, down here into these crevices. As you can see, there are a few stains here. I believe this is a glue stain, and some of these stains here, and see if I can't remove them with rubbing alcohol. And at the very least, I'll just be disinfecting the shoe a little bit more, getting into these cracks and stuff. So the next step, for me at least, is taking a bar of soap or liquid soap, whatever you want, and just putting it here on the lining here and on the tongue, and we're just going to take some water and just rub it in. You can take a brush or whatever you want, just for a deeper clean. The soap I'm using has a pistachio scent to it, which I really like. If you're doing this for someone else, you might want to ask them about if they even want you to do this step or what kind of scent they like. I would advise you to skip this step if your upper is made of suede or nubuck or something fragile, or if the leather or synthetic material, whatever, is starting to crack. I would avoid this step because you're going to try to wring this out, just get the water out after you're done washing it. If you do want to add a scent to it, and by steaming it, it should have killed some of the odor, but if it's still there, you can put some dryer sheets in there. You can use some essential oil, like a drop or two of, I think I have lemon oil. I know they make peppermint. You can find them online. I find mine at Whole Foods. There are many different options. And we're back from the interior portion of the restoration here, and I'm fairly happy with how it came out. It's still a little wet, but you can see there are fewer sock balls, a lot less hair. It is a lot cleaner than it was in the beginning. And as for those stains inside, it was here. I got rid of most of that stain. It's still a little bit there. It is a glue stain, I believe, and the stain up here is mostly gone, and that was thanks to a little bit of rubbing alcohol. If you don't want the smell of rubbing alcohol, you can use something else, or afterwards, when I was cleaning this, I put a little soap over here too to get rid of the smell. Right now I have done the laces. They should be drying. I just scrubbed the insoles and they are soapy, and I will be washing them off soon. And now it's time for the exterior portion of the restoration, and I just wanted to go over a few things before I started that. We have a lot of different stains going on here. I don't know if you can see them up here, but there are some very slight, very light dirt stains that should come off very, very easily. We have some what appear to be maybe a little heavier dirt stains, but those should come off alright. We've got some paint here missing on the Nike. We can touch that up if we can. We'll hopefully try to match the paint. Got some other stains here, grass stains, dirt stains, might be a little more difficult. And then of course we have this one here, this blue stain. As I was washing the inside, I noticed that a lot of this, when it was getting wet, was coming off. That tells me it was a restoration job, and it was a pretty bad one. And I think that could be the paint. So I'm going to try to get rid of that. Sometimes with the tougher stains, this one looks like a grass stain or maybe a paint stain. Sometimes with the tougher stains, what I do is I take some rubbing alcohol and I go over it with that. It's not quite acetone, and I wouldn't suggest using acetone unless you have a really, 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 really severe stain. But it will, what the alcohol will do is it will lift some of the paint off, and you can kind of take that paint once it's wet and go over the stain. That's one thing you can do. Also, sometimes it just rubs out the stain. Looking elsewhere here, we have some dirt here, which we're going to use a heavier brush with probably stiffer bristles and go over the midsoles we might decide to use some sea glow, not sure yet. We have cracks here which we have to be careful about. Don't want to scrub them too hard, probably don't want to scrub them at all. Thing I try to do first is use a sponge, the soft side of a sponge, and I also like, what is it, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, because that, I don't know, maybe it's in my head, but I think it makes the shoes a lot whiter, and it's soft, so it's not going to be too harsh on the upper. And of course down here, going to give it a really good scrub. We've got some pebbles here, and I'm just going to use the tweezers and pull those out, and just try to get the tweezers into all of these lines here and pull whatever is out of there. Could be some grass, could be some dirt, could be some pebbles, you never know. Also in these holes. So that is the plan today. Possibly use some acetone to get rid of this terrible blue stuff here, and on day 2 probably try to match the paint and give this a paint job both here in the midsole, in the white part and in the blue part, and possibly touch up some of the upper too, depending on what stains come off and which stains don't. So I finished cleaning the outsides here. As you can see, they are still a little yellow, but I got rid of a lot of the annoying little dirt stains here and there, and it makes a big difference. A lot of the little things that look like scuffs and stuff are gone. There's like a big green stain over here, that's gone. I took some acetone, went over the midsoles, got rid of a lot of the white paint. Same here with the blue paint. It looks like somebody maybe tried to color these in with a blue pen or something like that, I don't know. But I found this hole when I was cleaning them. Concerns me a little bit, don't know if I can fix it. Since these shoes didn't cost me much, I'm not too concerned. But yeah, a little tip, if you have things like this on your shoe, really give it a good scrub. I steamed the outside as well as the inside, and found a lot of grass and hair and stuff like that hanging out behind here. So always a good thing to really be thorough. I steamed the outside too, or the outsoles. Not going to repaint these. They look pretty decent. Here's the other one. I had to order some navy blue Angelus paint. That's on its way, so I'm going to repaint this part here and try to get a really good match. Alright, now it's time to paint the shoes. And I prefer to use Angelus products, as I know many other people out there do as well. We're going to use white for the midsole, or much of the midsole, and some of the upper. And for the blue accents, I'm using navy blue with a drop or two of true blue. And if you do not want your paint job to look glossy or shiny, use Angelus duller. I would say probably 10 or 20% should be duller, and of course 80 or 90% should be your paint. And that goes for all the colors that you're using. If you do not want a glossy finish or a shiny finish, use duller. And at the end of the paint job, we're going to put on a coat of this matte acrylic finisher. It says when a low gloss finish is desired, so this too will add a gloss or a glossy look to your paint job. So definitely add duller to this as well, 10 to 20%. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of brushes here. Got these, I think some might be from Angelus and some are from a local paint store, but I like these very thin and sometimes angled brushes for applying paint. You can do a lot of detailed work, do a lot of straight lines and also curves and stuff like that, and for really detailed stuff you'll probably want something like this, something really small. And for hard to reach areas you might want something that's curved too. So let's start painting. Here we are. This is pretty much the finished product here. As you can see, we repainted a lot of the midsole here, just the white. The blue really didn't need it. except for back here. If you can remember, you had all that sloppy blue ink or whatever it was. Well, we went over that with some acetone, and then we went over it with I think 1 or 2 coats of white paint, and then I finished it off with a coat of that blue. It was the navy blue with a drop or 2 of true blue. Tried to create a straight line. Was a little difficult. I don't think I did such a bad job. And the white looks nice, and I just wrapped it under here a little bit too. Repainted this, and this in white, and went down here too, just around the edges, just so it looks clean. And I didn't really bother to paint the rest of it white because I'm just gonna walk all over that anyway. As for the upper, there were some issues. It was pretty clean after we did the exterior wash, but there are some things that I just couldn't clean off. This blue mark here, it's not as bad as it used to be. I could use white paint on it, but there's an issue I have, and that is that a lot of times with age, your white paint or the original white paint will start to yellow a little bit. It'll turn like a cream color. And so when you do apply white, which I tried to do here with these scratches, you can see definitely where it's been painted over. There as well, and there what that divot is, or kind of used to be. It's not as bad as it used to be. But definitely things like these scratches are difficult to hide, and if anyone has any tips out there, I would love to hear them. So I didn't really want to go ahead and strip the original paint off of these. I kind of like having that vintage look, and I didn't want to mess around with them too much. I didn't want to put too much acetone on the paint here, on the original paint here, and then have to redo it. Especially with the scratches, I didn't want to have to scrub the paint and then make these scratches even worse. So I just put a little paint on them. But yeah, you can definitely see that it was touched up a little bit. And that's what would have happened over here as well. Of course, at some point in the future, I can decide to come back and paint over it. Maybe I'll add a little bit of cream to the white, just to give it that more of a vintage look. Over here too, you can see I painted in the Nike in that dark blue color. If you remember before, it was kind of faded. And after the paint had dried, I went back and I applied some of this mink oil, waterproofer and conditioner for leather and all that stuff, just to give it a nice coat and keep it moist, or moister than it was, because sometimes you get old shoes and they start to dry out, and that gives you more problems. So it's worth it to condition the leather or the uppers a little bit. And I believe you can do that with suede and nubuck as well. You won't use that, you use something else, but it's always a good idea to condition the materials. So now I'm just gonna go get the laces, and I'll show you the insoles, and this project will be done. So one last thing with the laces, we've washed them, they're nice and clean. I like to iron them as the last step before putting them back on the shoes. Just makes them really nice and straight. No wrinkles. Just run it under the iron like this. Doesn't take very long. And before you know it, you have really nice laces. And here are the insoles after the steaming and the washing with soap and water. As you can see, we didn't get all of the little sock balls, but we got a lot of them, and a lot of the hairs too, and we kept the Nike Air pretty intact. And here's the finished product. I'm fairly happy with how they turned out. Got the laces in there now. There are a few things that I'd like to do better next time. For instance, we've got all these wrinkles here. Couldn't get them out. I tried to steam them out, but they're kind of deep, and I guess it's just the kind of wear that these shoes have experienced. Maybe the amount of wear, I don't know, but it seems like it might be very, 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 very difficult to get them out. And also the scratches. How to fix the scratches, how to get rid of them, how to maybe put something in them so that it fills them out so they're not so noticeable. Other than that, I'm, like I said, very happy with the shoes, and for only $7.50, it's not bad. So let's put them on.